tonight I want to talk about navigating conflicts. Navigating conflicts. But for the benefit of those who are just joining us for the first time, and so that all of us can be on the same page, allow me to share 5 big ideas from our previous sessions. Let's start like that this evening. Let's look at 5 big ideas from our previous sessions. And this is the first one. A strategic relationship facilitates the fulfillment of mutual aspirations. It adds value to you and helps you to achieve your objectives. That's very, very important. A strategic relationship is mutually beneficial. It facilitates the fulfillment of mutual aspirations. I like to say that relationships are important, but not all relationships are created equal. Some relationships are strategic, okay? They fulfill mutual aspirations. They add value to you. They help you achieve your objectives as you add value to them and help them achieve their objective. The second big idea I don't want you to forget is this. The quality of your network is up to you. The quality of your network is up to you. In other words, who you are is who you attract. Who you are is who you attract. Okay? If people are better or stronger or greater than you, then you cannot hold them. You cannot keep them in your life. And it's the same thing. People that are not on your level, people that don't share your values and your quality will not be able to keep you in their life. So if you want people in your life, you want to make sure that you do what? You match, okay, their level. You grow to the level of the kind of people you want to be in your life. In other words, we say if you want to marry a queen, be a king. If you want excellent people to serve you, be a king, because excellent people will only stand before kings. If you want to earn a king's wage, then you want to be excellent. Okay. I hope we understand what I'm talking about. So the quality of your network is primarily up to you. Who you are is who you attract. This third one is very important. We're looking at 5 big ideas from our previous sessions. All right. This is the third one. Strategic relationships are built intentionally, not bestowed. Your paths may cross by providence, but your alliance will only be sustained by diligence. This is important. Strategic relationships are built intentionally. They are not bestowed. You can't just pray and then your relationships get better. I like to say it this way. Relationships are like gardens. They have to be nurtured. Gardens require tendering. You have to build your relationships intentionally. Principle number 4 from our previous session is that everybody has a point of attraction. So, before now, I was talking about that session we had in our office. And it's amazing how that as we went around the table, everybody talking about the point of attraction of each individual in the room, the energy was just so positive. Everybody was encouraged. Okay. Everybody has a point of attraction. There's something that attracts people into your life. And what we said in our first session is that if you keep improving your point of attraction, you will improve the quality of people that you attract into your life. Everybody has a point of attraction. And this is what I told you to do 3 weeks ago. Ask about between 5 to 10 people that know you very well. Ask them, what do you enjoy the most about me? What do you like the most about me? In what ways am I most beneficial to you? When they begin to answer that question or those questions, you will see a pattern emerge. You will see them pointing almost to the same thing. That's your point of attraction. If you keep growing in that area, you will improve the traffic of good people that you attract into your life. Now, this was the crux of our discussion last week, Wednesday. Attraction is not enough. Attraction is not enough. It must be reinforced with trust, vision, relevance, and growth. Attraction is not enough. Okay, that's your point of attraction. Must be reinforced with trust, vision, relevance, and growth. Okay, I told you last week that trust is a product of good character over a long time. Trust is a product of good character over a long time. So if there's anything you want to do, you want to work on the quality of your person. When people trust you, they travel with you, they want to be in your life, they want you to be a part of their life. The next thing I talked about was vision. Vision is the ability to see with your mind. I told you last week that when your dream is big enough to accommodate the dreams of others, they will reward you with loyalty. When your dream is big enough to accommodate the dreams of others, they will reward you with loyalty. If you are joining for the first time, if you missed any of the past sessions, I will encourage you to catch up on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Segun. All of the previous editions are there. Network Part 1, Network Part 2. I told you last week that relevance is finding a need for your gift in the lives of other people and doing an exceptional job of meeting it. Relevance is finding a need for your gift in the lives of other people and doing an excellent job of meeting that need. And finally, you must reinforce your attraction with growth. Okay? Growth. I told you last week that it takes continuous improvement and consistency to inspire loyalty. Okay? It takes continuous improvement and consistency to inspire loyalty. Now, let's round up this series tonight by talking about navigating conflict. See, there is no way you can build strategic relationships and you will not encounter conflict. It was Dr. Sam Adeyemi who said some years back that when two people relate together, when two people work together and they never clash, one of them is unnecessary. I like to say it this way. If you and somebody are in a relationship together and you never conflict, somebody is coming the other person. All right. The very best of relationships are forged on the other side of conflict. That is my big idea for this evening. The best relationships are forged on the other side of conflict. Let me say that again. The best relationships are forged on the other side of conflict. In other words, if you want to build exceptional relationships, you must have a strategy for navigating conflicts and offenses. Because if you can't get past offenses, you won't go very far in life. Let me say that again. If you are going to build strategic relationships, you have to have a strategy for dealing with conflicts and offenses, for navigating conflicts and offenses. Because if you can't get past offenses, you won't go very far in life. And what I'm simply going to do tonight is to share with you 3 ideas. Okay. My personal strategy is made up of 3 ideas, 3 major steps. All right. Okay. Of 3 major principles. You can build on it. You can add to it, but I work with these 3 major principles. And that's what I want to share with you tonight. But before we proceed, let me put in this one thought and then we continue. The size of your heart will determine your ability to deal with conflicts and offenses. You know, last Wednesday, I talked about the quality of your vision determines the quality of people you can keep in your life. The size of your vision will determine, okay, if your dream is big enough to accommodate the dreams of other people, they will reward you with loyalty. This principle I'm sharing with you is along the same line, okay? The size of your heart will determine your ability to deal with conflicts and offenses. What am I trying to say? Big hearts are filled with big dreams focused on other people. Small hearts are filled with small dreams and selfish desires. So if you want to get past conflict, this is what I was trying to say. If you are not the kind of person that places the needs and the interests of other people ahead of your own, you will have a hard time when it comes to conflicts and offenses. So if you go back to the principle we shared last week, okay, the bigger your dream, the easier it is for you to forgive. That's what we found out. The bigger your dream, the bigger your objective, the easier it is for you to forgive. Now, what are the 3 strategies that I use to deal or to navigate conflicts and offenses? This is the first one. The easiest way to deal with offenses is to avoid them. This is my starting point. And I'm going to share with you 4 ideas under this first strategy. The easiest way to navigate or to deal with conflicts and offenses is to avoid them. What do I mean by that? Or what does this entail? I tell you first and foremost, don't get close to people who can't handle you. You know, one of the things, if you're going to build excellent relationships, if you're going to be successful, you have to be self-aware. And part of self-awareness is for you to know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, you know the kinds of people that can handle your strengths and weaknesses. You know, the Bible says iron sharpens iron. Okay, so when you evaluate the people around you, you know who your iron is, you know who is wood to you, you know who is clay to you. Don't get close to people who can't handle you. Okay, you see, your honest feedback to your real friend might be too much of criticism to somebody who cannot handle you. Your quietness that is understood by somebody who is on your wavelength, who can handle you, the fact that you're not saying anything, for that person is a problem. To the person who cannot handle you, your quietness means you are a snob. So the easiest way to deal with an offense or to deal with offenses is to avoid them. How do I avoid offenses? People that can't handle you, stay away from them. Okay, you've got to be nice to everybody, but you don't have to be close to everybody. We can be related without being connected. We can have a relationship. We don't necessarily have to share fellowship. If you can't handle me, if I am too strong for you, then our friendship will not do you any good. Okay. And our friendship will also not do me any good. I'm reminded by this story told by John Maxwell, how that he would play tennis with this friend of his. Now, this other guy is a professional tennis player. And John Maxwell says that there was a pattern. Every time they played tennis together, the guy will win the first round. He said, but from the second, third round, okay, and subsequently, he will start to win. And he said the reason is because for them to be able to play together, this guy has to drop his game. And there are so many of us who are living our lives like that. You are dropping your game because of the people that are around you. Listen, sometimes it is better for you to be alone than for you to be the best mind or the most intelligent in the room. Sometimes it's okay to be alone. See, because your confidence will be misconstrued as pride by people who are not in your frequency, who are not in your wavelength. So it's okay sometimes to be by yourself than to be in the middle of people who think your own is too much, who think you are too driven, who think you are too passionate. A lot of times and they hurt you. They will say things that will hurt you. Okay. They will, and that's the reason why some of us don't express our opinion on social media, because you see, you can't tell the intelligence, you can't tell the personality, the values of the person you are chatting with. In the early days of social media, you make an opinion, somebody comments on it, and then before you know it, you're arguing back and forth. Listen, anybody that is wise enough to confront you, okay, even though they don't know you, are not wise enough to be in your life. Smart people, intelligent people give themselves a benefit of doubt. What if this person knows more than I know? See, that's where their humility comes from. But when you see people who are absolutely sure of themselves, even though they are interfacing with strangers, you don't want to waste your time with such people. So it got to a point where I stopped responding. I stopped commenting on social media. People will say stuff like, but if you don't engage them, how are they going to learn from you? And I said to them, I don't argue with my teachers. I don't argue with my teachers. So anybody that wants to argue with me, you don't need me. You already know what you need to know. Okay, so you avoid offenses, you avoid conflict by not getting close to people who cannot handle you. Principle number 2, we're talking about the easiest way to deal with offense is to avoid them. Number 2, don't rush. Time is the ultimate test of authenticity. So let time do its job. The challenge with some of us is we get into relationships with people and we rush. We get close too soon. And what it does is by the time those people begin to reveal their true personalities, we get offended, we get hurt. And the problem is because we rushed the relationship. I say this to people all the time. For every relationship, there is a season of bliss. In my estimation, it's always around 3 months. In those 3 months, everything works fine. You really don't know the person you are dealing with. You don't know the heart of the person you are dealing with. You may be seeing them at their best. You have not experienced their weaknesses, so you don't know them. Give your relationships time. Maybe it's an employment, it's a new client, a new environment. Give it time. I tell people, every fast food joint get excellent patronage in their first 3 months. They are new. Everything there is new. People try them out. They are not your customers. They are just checking you out. You don't make permanent decisions. You don't expand your client. You don't expand your staff strength, okay, because you count the number of people patronizing you in the first 3 months. No, you don't do that. You don't rush until after about a year or two, you really don't know who your loyal customers are. So don't rush. Principle number 3 under this first strategy is don't ignore your red flags. The easiest way to deal with offenses is to avoid them. What I'm sharing with you are steps I take to avoid offenses. I said, number 1, don't get close to people who can't handle you. Number 2, don't rush. Time will tell you who your real friends are. Number 3, don't ignore your red flags like signs of inconsistency, lack of peace. Okay? When you are interfacing with anybody, relating with anybody, you may not have facts. But if intuitively you are not comfortable in the relationship, take a walk. And for those of us who are people of faith, don't ignore the leading of the Holy Spirit. Don't suppress the voice of the Holy Spirit with your logic. For whatever reason, if you feel any uneasiness in your heart towards a person, back off the relationship. A lot of times you don't have a reason for it. You want to do a deal with somebody, you want to buy something from somebody, and you just feel uneasy about it, back off. This one is very important. Never violate your values to interact with anybody. Okay, these are red flags. Don't violate your values. Don't think they will change. Okay, adults change very slowly. So even if the person is going to change, before they change, they offend, they hurt you. All right, so don't ignore your red flags. And this is the final thing I'm going to say under this first strategy. Maintain healthy boundaries. Okay, maintain healthy boundaries. You want to avoid offenses. You want to avoid unnecessary conflicts. Then do what? Maintain healthy boundaries. Okay, define your relationships early and then don't get carried away. I like to define relationships. Okay, my mentor is my mentor. My role model is my role model. My friend is my friend. Not everybody that you call your friend is really your friend. Because of social media, we throw that word around loosely now. It's okay. Hey, my friend. Oh, that my friend. But in your heart of heart, you need to know who your real friends are. And so you do what? You maintain healthy boundaries. These are ways you avoid, okay, conflict. Somebody, let me give an example of what I'm saying. Somebody gave me a call earlier this week. Now, this is somebody I had not heard from in a very long time. Okay. So the person made I can't remember, one of the social media platforms made a call. And because I know the person's name, so I picked the call and we were talking, and in the course of the conversation, the person asked me 2 very personal questions. Now, you need to understand, this is somebody that does not even have my phone number. And in a conversation of less than 10 minutes, you ask me 2 very personal questions. I was polite till the end of the call, but at the end of the call, I said to myself, this person cannot go further than this. It is obvious this person does not understand boundaries. See, there is nothing the person is going to do except I see change over a long period of time before I will allow such a person to come close to me. It's very simple. Anybody that asks you personal questions too soon will talk about your personal issues unnecessarily with people. Anybody that is poking their nose into your private affairs will discuss your private affairs with people that don't have a business knowing about your private affairs. So you do what? You maintain healthy boundaries. What are we talking about tonight? We're talking about navigating conflicts. Our big idea is that the best relationships are forged on the other side of conflict. So if we are going to go very far, we must have a strategy for navigating conflicts and offenses. I have 3 sure ideas I work with. The first one is that the easiest way to deal with offenses is to avoid them. Now, this is the second major strategy I work with. The best way to deal with offenses is to forgive. The best way to deal with offenses is to forgive. Now, I know this is a little bit tricky for quite a lot of us, because the question is, how do you forgive somebody who is not even acknowledging that they have offended you, or sometimes they don't even know they have offended you? Okay. But this is what you need to understand, that you see, forgiveness is not about the person. Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself so that your heart can be healed. Okay, this is important. You have to realize that you need to forgive an offender much more than the offender needs to be forgiven. Let me say that again. You need to forgive the offender much more than the offender needs to be forgiven. So even when people have not apologized or they are not sorry, you need to forgive, because forgiving people is one of the ways you protect your heart from getting corrupted. Let me say that again. Forgiving other people is one of the ways you protect your heart from being corrupted. I'm going to share with us a verse of scripture, the only verse of scripture I want to read and share from tonight. Colossians chapter 3 and verse 12 to 13. It says, "Since God chose you to be the holy people he loves, you must clothe yourselves with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience." We're reading Colossians chapter 3, verse 12 to verse 13, New Living Translation. The 13th verse now says, "Make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you." Verse 13 again, "Make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you." Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. Can you see that? Forgiveness is not a suggestion. Forgiveness is a commandment. But what you need to understand is forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. This is important. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. These are the big thoughts or the big ideas I'm sharing. I've got 3 major strategies for navigating conflicts and offenses. Number 1, I avoid them. That's the easiest thing to do, to make sure they don't happen in the first place. But number 2, see, people will offend you. That's the truth. The first thing I need you to do is to qualify the kind of people you want to bring in. In other words, you've got to choose your battles. You've got to choose your offenders. That's what I'm saying. You've got to choose your offenders. You've got to determine the quality and the caliber of people you are going to give access to. But put this at the back of your mind. No matter how good they are going to offend you. So when the person offends you, you've got to respond with forgiveness. Forgiveness is like an ointment that you put on a wound so that it can quickly heal. This is important. A lot of times people feel that forgiveness is for the other person. No, forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for you. Verse 13 of Colossians chapter 3 says that you should make allowance for each other's faults. In other words, I told you before, don't rush your relationships. So at this point, you are talking about people you know. I need this person in my life. This person needs me in their life. One of the ways you know the person is self-awareness. Is you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. If you really care about other people also, you know their strengths, you know their weaknesses. So you make allowance for their weaknesses. Forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself. It is like a rubbing ointment on a wound. Okay, you need to understand that the healing you are looking for after you have been hurt, after you have been offended, the healing you are looking for is in forgiveness. Now let me say this, the healing is in forgiveness, not in apology. Let me say that again. The healing is in forgiveness, not in apology. This is what I found out. Apologies soothe, but they don't heal. Apologies soothe, but they don't heal. Now, when somebody has offended you over and over again, especially if the person has done the same thing over and over again, the next time that they apologize, it's not going to do anything to you. It's not going to do anything to you. People that know me know I don't even like apologies. Okay, because I found out that people use apologies like, like this get out of jail card. The moment I say I'm sorry, you are supposed to let it go. But sometimes the apology, sometimes you are still in the pain of the offense. And the person is already saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And so you notice the person has apologized, but you don't feel any better. Because apologies can soothe, they don't heal. What heals is forgiveness. Let me tell you what forgiveness will do to you. Forgiveness enlarges your capacity. This is important. These are the reasons why you must forgive when you are offended. Forgiveness enlarges your capacity because once you let go, you begin to learn. But until you let go, you won't learn. The moment you let go and forgive the person, you will begin to see cues and patterns. In other words, when something happens in your life that hurts you, the moment you forgive, you begin to see cues and patterns. You begin to see ways to prevent that thing from happening again. You learn from what you have suffered. But as long as you hold on to the offense, you are not going to learn. The healing you are looking for is in forgiveness. The next thing I want to tell you about forgiveness is what? Forgiveness is a seed. Okay, forgiveness is a seed. You are going to need that harvest very soon. There's this statement, very popular statement. They say to err is human. What does that mean? You are the offended person today. Give yourself some time. You are going to become the offender. So when you sow the seed of forgiveness in the lives of other people, you are going to harvest forgiveness in the future. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps whatever he sows. When you are offended, be gentle. When you are offended, forgive, knowing fully well that a few days from now, a few weeks from now, I am going to offend this person too. And I want the person to forgive me. Now the question is, what if I find it, difficult to forgive? What if what the person did is so painful, I find it difficult to forgive the person? Then ask God to help you. These are some of the things you take to the place of prayer. Of course, when we say offense, when we say forgive, some issues are so deep that it's not just, you just struggle with forgiving the person. I mean, for example, when your trust is betrayed, maybe in a love relationship, somebody promised to marry you and then deceived you, took your money, and then you found out the person is getting married to somebody else. No, you don't get over such in a moment. That's what I'm saying. You may need to talk to God about it. Ask for divine help because you must forgive. Okay, you must forgive, but it may not be easy. So you ask for divine help. Another thing is to ask for counsel. Seek the counsel of elderly people who have gone ahead of you that you trust, your spiritual leaders, your pastors. Ask for their counsel. Sometimes when people have been through what you are going through, they can help you understand what you are dealing with and how to get over it. But listen, I said seek counsel, not gossip. Seek counsel, not gossip. Don't try to, and sometimes we do it unconsciously. You think you are seeking counsel, but what you are doing is trying to tarnish the image of the other person before people who are not aware of what transpired between the two of you. You are not seeking counsel that way. You are seeking revenge that way. People that don't know what the guy did or don't know what the lady did, now you have informed them and you have damaged the person's reputation, in front of those people. You are not seeking counsel. You are seeking revenge. And of course, people of faith, the Bible says, God says, vengeance is mine. Okay. So don't revenge, forgive. I have 3 major things I do when it comes to navigating conflicts and offenses. Number 1, the easiest is to avoid offenses. Okay. And I shared along that line. We don't want to go back to that. The second is what? When I am offended, I forgive. Now, this is the third one. And this one is also very important. Don't just forgive, adjust. Don't just forgive, adjust. Okay. When the same offense and apology becomes cyclical, you have to now protect your heart from corruption by redefining the relationship. Okay. You have to put the person in a position where they can no longer hurt you. Okay, so I'm talking about sometimes you may have to resign the job. You may have to break the relationship. You may have to move away. You may have to stop seeing that person's posts. I can talk about that. Some years back, I had a couple of guys on Facebook especially. I don't know why, but Facebook especially, they posted things. It wasn't about me. Okay, it was about people I respect, and they were dishonoring people I respect. Now, these are people that I like. And I found out that every time I saw their post, it was doing something to my heart. So you know what I did? I blocked them. Okay. I asked Facebook to make sure that I don't see their posts anymore. That's the adjustment. Okay. Let me give an example. You have a friend who is not, very controlled when it comes to words. And so the person will say words that hurt you, say words that offend you, and then apologize. When you notice it has become a pattern, you just don't forgive. You adjust. Put yourself in a position where people who are not willing to change will not do you any harm. Or you are in a leadership capacity and you have somebody on your team who is doing more damage than good. Okay, adjust the relationship. You're an employer of labor. Somebody is costing the organization more than they are adding to the organization. Adjust the relationships. I say this to people all the time. You are not the God of Jonah. So do not be afraid to throw Jonah into the sea. Jonah's God will take care of him. Some of us feel, if I break up with him, what will happen to him? Where were you before you met? How did he survive before you met? If I leave this organization, it will crumble. No, I think what you are dealing with is pride. My pastor calls it an overbloated estimation of your of your relative importance. Some you say, if I leave the organization, what will happen to you? No, you are likely to die while you are still in the organization. But if you leave, you have a chance to survive, and the organization will survive without you. So move away. Adjust the relationship. Redefine the relationship. It's possible for somebody to have been a close friend, but you notice every time you tell the person something in confidence, the person says it to other people. Stop giving secrets to such a person. Adjust. Okay? Adjust. Somebody is wondering, so what if it's a marriage relationship? See me next week concerning that one. I don't want to talk about marital situations today. That's another bottle of issues. We'll talk about that maybe next week while I'm answering questions next week. But I'm talking about regular relationships right now. Okay, of course, there are strategies for dealing with this in marriage, but let's not talk about that now. Let's talk about other relationships. So these are my 3 major ideas or 3 major principles for navigating conflicts. Avoid them, forgive, and adjust. Okay? Avoid, forgive, and adjust. Let me say this final statement. Very, very important. Forgiveness without adjustment is enablement. Forgiveness without adjustment is enablement. It breeds codependency. Some of us are very sentimental. What you don't understand is, for as long as you keep forgiving but you don't adjust the relationships, you are enabling that other person to continue in their evil. So it becomes a codependent relationship. I decided to look that up in Wikipedia just so that I'm not just sounding high and up there. What is codependency? Okay, it's a behavioral condition in a relationship where one person enables another person's addiction. Okay, poor mental health, immaturity, irresponsibility, or underachievement. Among the core characteristics of codependency is an excessive reliance on other people for approval and a sense of identity. So you may need to tell yourself the truth. There are some people who like to be needed. So every time the person apologizes and says, I can't do without you, if you leave me, I will die. There's a way it makes you feel. You stay there because now you are getting kicks out of the person's dysfunction. Because the person keeps speaking to you in a kind of way. There are some people who love the way people apologize to them. And what you are doing is you are enabling the person's dysfunction by staying in such a relationship, by not adjusting that kind of relationship. What have we learned today? That if you're going to go very far in life, you must have a strategy for navigating conflicts and offenses. I have 3 major ones, and that's what I've shared with you. I avoid conflicts and offenses as much as possible. Okay. I shared 4 major ideas about how I do that. Okay. Don't get close to people who cannot handle you. Don't rush. Allow time to do its job. Time is the ultimate test of authenticity. Don't ignore your red flags. Okay. Don't violate your conscience. Don't violate your values to relate with anybody, and maintain healthy boundaries. Okay. The second thing I do is I forgive. Once I've qualified the people in my life, in other words, this is what I'm saying. The moment I know I'm going to relate with this person is in my life. I also know I'm going to forgive this person severally. Okay? I'm going to forgive this person severally. For those of us who are married, if you want to be happily married and sane, you have to forgive ahead of time. Because the closer a person is to you, the more they are going to offend you. That's the truth. The closer a person is to you, the more the person will offend you, and the more painful the offense will be, because these people are close to you. When I'm close enough to touch your nose, I am close enough to step on your toes. Good. So you forgive ahead of time. I told you, forgiveness is like rubbing ointment on the wound. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. I told you, forgiveness is a seed. Because to err is human. So when you forgive today, the day you become the offender, you will reap forgiveness. And then finally I said, don't just forgive, adjust. Because Forgiveness without adjustment is enablement. I believe that you have been inspired, you have been instructed, you have been blessed. Let's round it up here tonight till next week, Wednesday.